if you truly realize that you want to buy the property, it's going to sound direct and harsh, but just work harder, make more money, live under your means, and get going. Real estate is I know it's been discussed before, but so forgiving, and there's such an advantage with time that everyone's always going to play the victim, have an excuse, figure out a way to make more money, spend less money, save it, get a down payment, and get going. Welcome to another episode of the Straight Up Chicago Investor Podcast. I'm your guest, Mike Bednarz, and with me, as always, is your host, Big Tom and Big Mark.
Nicely done. Good welcome, too.
He sort of massaged it. It was very soothing.
Yeah, that was more complicated than it should have been.
Had to put him through hell here. You've been through way worse. We'll get into that.
Yeah, eat the frog, baby.
This is a great episode.
It was. I mean, tenacity, grit. I mean, this guy's got everything in him, man. And if anyone could be 10% of what he has, they'll be successful in life.
I know, you listen. We appreciate everyone, tuning into the podcast, and we love trying to give as many tips as possible. But at the end of the day, it's just go do the things that have to be done. That's it. Call it a day. That's what. Go do those things. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what else we got? What's going on in your life? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Man, I've just trying to figure out next steps I can't find properties. So
Lance ditched you. Lance went and bought one without you.
Lance bought one without me, and now he's probably a little tight on money for a couple. So I got to buy a couple properties without him probably right now. But I've actually been working with a couple of wholesalers and kind of, I guess, funding them to send out areas I want to send, and they're taking the calls, and we kind of have a deal worked out. So that's what I started doing in December, basically funding a couple people that could do the wholesale side. I'm not taking the calls or anything, but I'm trusting that these guys are good enough to do the job if I may deal.
I'm actually doing something very similar. I'll do a shout out, Ellie Goodman, where I got a similar arrangement with him that we just started. So we can compare notes after this, see how it's structured, how it goes.
Yeah, you know what? The total investment, I'm only sending out to a couple of areas, and the total investment I'll have in the first 5 months or whatever is nothing crazy. I think it's $5 or $6 grand. And it's all right, if I get a property that's 40 or 50 grand under, and it costs me $5 or $6 grand, then that's great. Even if I do it 3 or 4 times and I still get one property, that's still, I don't know if I'll hang out that long, or I probably switch wholesalers at that point. But
yeah, no, these things are just so, these things meaning these properties you buy, they're so expensive. You're going to pay a realtor, a wholesale fee, whatever it is. It's I know it's hard to swallow, spending 10 grand or whatever it is, but it's definitely the better option.
But over Christmas break, it was crazy. I put in 4 or 5 offers anywhere from, I reached out to DeKalb even, today's show is about DeKalb, but, or not today, but the one that aired today. I put stuff out to DeKalb, Clarendon Hills, everywhere. Man, I was aggressive, and I was still 20 grand under. Yeah. 20 grand under what the guy actually got. And there's a couple of agents that I even knew. I'm oh, cool, I got this one because I know so and so. And hey man, listen, Mark, I can probably bend it. I can help you, but you're way off even. So but that's
when you respond, you're way off.
But when you're way off though, the numbers just don't work, or I can't, there's just too many unknowns at that point still. So it's anything that's hitting the market, right away I turn around, I'm all right, it's time. It's the new year. Let's go invest some money in these wholesalers. I built a couple of relationships in the late part of last year. I trust these guys, and they're kind of trying to get going, ramp up this year as well too. So I think I'm kind of helping them get in the groove a little. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
But I'm similar. So I did Deal Machine last year, and we actually got a few deals off of it. And I wanted to ramp up, but I also didn't want to be taking calls. And I knew if I ramped up, things would slip, right? And so I'm basically having someone do it for me.
Yep.
These are the areas, you do it. We'll figure out the structure, but I'll pay for it. You handle it, and we take it from there.
Yeah, for me, I guess we were talking about with my couple guys. Hey, if I get one deal and you make, they're not going to let them not make money on it, but make a couple bucks on it, and then you get another couple deals over the time, and you actually get halfway decent deals, and this is a win-win relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Look at us thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
We had to go on air to talk about this.
Yeah, you did text me back yesterday on something. So
yeah, my bad.
You're bad at texting.
Or
me, I guess.
Oh, no.
If
right now, a few of my friends I think do listen in. Right now, they're all nodding their heads. There'll be plans, and I'm the one who never responds to the group text.
I made a conscious decision yesterday. I had to text
I'm focused, like our guest today.
I had to text you something, and I'm I'm going to text Lance and Tom on the same email. Kind of has to do with Lance, but he'll have the social pressure to feel like he should reply. I totally thought way too much about it, but it was all because I don't get back to you fast enough.
No, that's not you. That's a me thing.
Okay, good.
Everyone
I will
else,
take it.
my wife will tell you the same thing. Like everyone in my phone will tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
Although Mike texted me today at like 5:30 in the morning, I responded immediately.
Nice.
All right. So what's our housing provider tip of the week?
All right, so our housing provider tip of the week this year in 2025, they introduced the Illinois Retaliation Act. Now, what that is, we'll go into a different show, but it's a whole bunch of tenants can easily come after you as a landlord if they feel you're retaliating, and huge unknown consequences that haven't been litigated yet. But it brought me to a couple conversations I had this week with investors where they're like, "Hey, I have this tenant, and they're a pain in the butt. They put a lot of work orders in, or they always kind of push back on everything. I want to get rid of them here in the spring season." And right away, that Retaliation Act is popped in my head, and I'm like, man, like that opens up so much risk. So my advice to both of them was like, don't just send them a letter you're not going to renew. Just jack up the rent, and don't jack up the rent $500 above market. Like go a couple of bucks above market. And both of them in that situation were below market. So I know both those investors they're a little more frustrated because they're paying in the butt tenants and they're not getting market rent. So if you have somebody you want to get rid of them, don't just send the notice to leave. Just raise the rent and make sure there's notices, especially in Chicago. You have to give so many days to raise rent based on how long they've been there. So make sure you follow those rules. But yeah, that's my tip. Avoid Illinois Landlord Retaliation Act risk.
All right. Let's bring in our guest today. I haven't brought in our guest in a while. I've had the pleasure of knowing him for going on probably 4 or 5 years now. Owner of Witt Properties. He has gone through just a tremendous. The last 3 years, just the growth, the incident that happened, coming out of that, and the growth from there. When I think of you, I think of the word disciplined. So without further ado, Mike Bednarz, welcome to the Underground.
Thank you. Place is legit. Better than expected.
Yeah, I told you. We talked about it, and I was like, no, you got to come out to Roselle. We got to make you get out to the burbs here.
Hell yeah. I'm happy I came.
So
Trek from the Northwest side.
Yeah, we were 10 minutes apart from each other. We had to drive out here for you, Mark. Yeah. So, all right. So you have a fascinating story. Let's start at the very beginning. When does real estate come in your mind? You're growing up in the Northwest side. You go out to college, I believe, out in New York. Mm-hmm. Come back here. What is 22-year-old Mike looking to do?
Cool, yeah. Grew up in Des Plaines, and I would say I grew up in a very blue-collar mentality. My brother and I were just taught, like, you had an issue, put your head down and work, which I think is translated definitely for me to have a lot of success within real estate. So I went to school in New York, and I got a job at CBS Sports after. And being in New York, like, how would you say, there's a lot of old money. My friends' parents are taking me out to very nice dinners and steakhouses, all this stuff. And I noticed that what they all had in common was real estate. So I'm like, oh, I got to get into real estate if I want to do this. So I was very, frugal. I lived under my means. My friends would ask me, you want to go to dinner? You want to go? I was like, no, I ain't got no money. But I had, money saved up that I was invested in all this stuff. So when I was, 21, 22, started working in New York City, just saved so much money because I knew I always had the real estate plan. So moved back to Chicago. I was living with my brother in Des Plaines, rent-free, so like that was just huge for me. And I saved up till I was about 27, 28. All my friends are getting apartments in Logan, Bucktown, all this. I'm like, yo, what are you guys doing? Like, save your money. You're just blowing it on rent. So eventually I saved up enough money. I had about 100, 200 grand in the account that I was ready to invest. And I started, my original plan was to actually get a condo and have 2 of my buddies live there. With the idea that they'll pay for the rent, I'll just live for free and, gain equity in this place. I knew nothing about real estate. This was before I stumbled upon Bigger Pockets, before I read books, all this stuff. And I started seeing like all these association fees, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested in that. So I kind of changed my plan to go, get a multifamily. I probably looked at, 20, 30 multifamilies before I actually closed on one in 2020 in Edison Park, a 2-unit plus garden. Was grossing $1,200 a month. Second floor was vacant. The basement was like you know, a 1970s type unit, needed to be gutted. So my dad, being very blue collar, is like, yo, we'll gut it, we'll do this, you'll live there and everything. Mind you, I was getting kicked out of my brother's house where I was living for free because he wasn't getting engaged. I was like, Dad, I'm down if I could live for free at your house for, you know, however long till we finish this. So we spent literally, I think it was 13, 14 months just gutting the entire basement by ourselves. It was hell, but I learned a bunch, just working all weekends, some nights, and it was huge in terms of my cash flow and ability to save money and increase the appreciation of the property. So then kind of redid that, moved into the basement, you know, after 13 months, finally I'm living at my own. I'm definitely cash flowing because I got the second unit rented right away. The first, I got them inched up, and now the basement, I'm living there for free and cash flowing. This was before I even knew the term house hack was. So then after I finally finished everything and I was living there 13, 14 months, I started educating myself a bit more. I stumbled upon Bigger Pockets, stumbled across you guys, and I heard of this thing called a cash out refi, a refinance. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. This is probably how they do it. So then I had this conversation with a couple lenders, got into a refinance, was able to pull all of my dollars and some out of that unit. And I'm like, you know, I closed on that building for 5,075, and I'm like, I own this property and I didn't put a single dollar into it. This is pretty cool. So
hold on, let's stop right there, because like just to get to that point, like a couple things you said there, like that's 6 years of giving up, like what you wanted to do, right? Not just on the housing side, right? It's 6 years of.
Well, I have the question too of. I get this question all the time of like, how much should I save up before I go buy something, or how much should I gun for? So I would love to kind of hear your mentality when you're just kind of like, what were you aiming for? Was there a certain dollar amount? Was there were you shooting towards a certain percentage of down payment? Like,
yeah, I know that a lot of people, you know, start with FHA loans and that process, but I knew I wanted to do a 20% conventional loan, and I knew I wanted to be in, you know, an A class type of area. This was always my side hustle. You know, I have a full-time job, so I didn't want to be dealing with issue tenants, problems at night, all this stuff. I knew I wanted to be in a great place, so I knew I had to save up a little more money. So I had a ballpark in my head, you know, 1 to 200 grand. And that was kind of my shooting goal. And every dollar I had, I invested, you know, in the stock market and other means. So I was able to grow my money that way and just hit it, you know, pretty fortunately through all that hard work, I'd say.
Well, you went through a good cycle in the stock market though, so you got lucky. So I wouldn't encourage that to everybody of like, because that could go down too.
Yeah, of course it can, but it's the process of instead of going out to the bar, buying clothes, I was like, yo, I'm going to buy 3 more shares. Like I got so competitive with myself and that I'm truly reaping the benefits and the rewards now, but it was sure as hell hard. And I have a problem. I don't have that balance. I'm like all in, which is, you know, probably too much. I missed out on a lot of things in my life, and we can talk about my accident, but my mentality has shifted. So you got to find that balance, but I'm a firm believer. If you want something, you know, you can just go and get it with putting your head down and working for it.
So what I heard there is you gamified savings. You gamified it, not even around real estate, around like, oh, the stock market over here, and if I could buy an extra share, that's extra money. Like, yeah, that's great. Like to find any way to gamify things to get to your goal, like it's something you did, you might not even realize you were doing.
Yeah. One other thing I want to point out too is just people get lost on the cash out refi. They put 5% down in the front end. When you go to cash out refi, you're going to be at 20% down. So you might be able to increase the value, but you're still not, which is great. You increase the asset side of it. Mm-hmm. You still probably won't get to pull out that much cash flow because you're at 95% to start with. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I articulate that very well, but like that's the benefit of
the concept. Yeah, 20 down was huge. Yeah,
like you put more down up front, but like you have a lot more leeway there, right? And then you go out for that cash out refi, all of a sudden there's more money in your pocket, right? It's the long term gratification. And if 5% is all you can do, that's fine. But like you just got to understand that people think it's just magic. Like in 2 years, you're going to pull all your cash out.
Plus, the PMIs and all the other stuff involved. I've never gone that route. So, you know, I'm biased towards the standard 20% down, but I assume there's more hurdles and stuff with the, you know, FHA 5% down type of loan.
Yeah.
Before we keep going though, like you have to point this out. Like, you know, I was listening to something yesterday, Charlie Munger, the money's in the patience, or the money's in the boring part.
Yeah, I love
the boring
Buffett
part.
and Munger.
Yeah.
Man, the boring part is staying home. The boring part that is bringing your girlfriend back to your brother's couch. Like
It's 6 years and then to go live in a garden.
But that's
like,
where the money.
That's
He made,
dedication.
he made his money in that section, in that part right there, in that
It
block
was
of life that was
crucial
boring.
to me. I would highly recommend it to any kid. But nowadays, like, you know, I'm 33. Like, people don't want to do that. They want to go get the nice new thing. They want to get the nice car. Like, it's just, I try to reflect on how I became this way, you know, because I'm too far on one side of the spectrum. But if you're truly long-term motivated, like 100%, this is the way to go. There's no other option.
Yeah. All right. So this is 2020. You get through this cash out refi. Then we hook up like 2021ish. We had to look up the email today. When did we actually start meeting each other? Why did you not go buy another 3-unit? Why were you like, hey, I need to go buy a small multi?
I mean, I thought I was the king of the world. I knew nothing about real estate or anything. I'm just like, I did what all these podcasts and books are talking about, and I didn't even know I was doing it. So I knew that, you know, I'm a very numbers-driven guy, so I obviously run my pro formas, all that stuff, and I just see the type of, you know, returns and stuff that you can get with larger types of properties, and I knew that, like, you know, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in. Obviously, you know, build up the reserves. That's very important and crucial. But that was just my plan. I'm just like, I'm going in. I mean, you know, we could talk about the 13 unit I'm looking at now. That's like way above my expertise and knowledge. But like, you know, I have that mentality. I'm going to figure it out. Just give me the option, the opportunity.
Yeah. So we go, Mike looked at a few different buildings, ends up under contract for a 6-unit. Describe the building, but to set the stage, this is 2021. Lenders are still a little shaky with retail. It's 3 retail stores and 3 apartments, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So like coming out of a house hack, that's a lot of people shy away from something with, you know, quote unquote, that much risk there.
Where at? What neighborhood?
Norwood Park. Yeah. So it was a 20-minute walk from my 3-flat in Edison Park where I was living. It was perfect. The 3 retail storefronts were a lot of sleep. I apologize. My brain, I'm like 80, you know, 90, almost there. So I have some word finding issues. But yeah, it was a little alarming to have those 3 storefront units because I'm like, oh, what am I going to do when there's a vacancy? We can talk about how that eventually happened. And the 3 units up top, I think that property was grossing
nothing.
$5-6 grand.
Nothing.
And yeah, I'm like, what? You know, knock on wood, Tom, you're a savior. You brought me that deal. But I'm like, yo, what are they doing? Like, this is so mismanaged. And right now I gross a little over 10 grand. And like, I haven't made any extensive renovations. I just got leases up, got a couple of good tenants in there. And it used to be, before Norwood Park was annexed, it was the Norwood Park Police Station and City Hall. Building was made in the late 1800s, and I think it's just a beautiful building. There's an owner's unit on the top, which I'm going to be moving into shortly. It's like a duplex. It's beautiful, and then 3 storefronts on the bottom.
Yeah, it's on this weird cul-de-sac. So like, the survey is like 30 feet by 190 by like 20 by like another one.
It's weird when you drive down Northwest Highway and you look at it. I'm like, I feel like I'm like hallucinating. I'm like, that angle can't be right.
Correct. There's triangular rooms.
Yeah.
There's 3 wall rooms, right? Like there's
Which is interesting because I remember, you know, when I was about to purchase it, I had a tenant say to me like, Mike, you're not going to change anything, right? Like, like we love it here. And I'm just like, I wouldn't live here, but like people love that uniqueness, a place to live. So that was very enlightening and telling to me. And I've pretty much had 0% vacancy for that building as a whole, which is crazy to think about. But, you know, I had my first experience on a vacancy on the storefront there, and I listed it on Facebook Marketplace, and I had so many hits, and I'm just like, you know, this is so easy. What's going? This is like everyone's scared. You know, I got an October calf is in there now. It's a pretty, you know, pop-in cafe, coffee shop there. But like I found those girls right away, and I'm like, so then I had this chip on my shoulder, like this commercial stuff is easy. I could do this. And we could talk about the next one, but yeah, I was just, again, I was fortunate enough with the refi, the updating the basement, and now this one, I'm just like, the real estate, it's so clear to me that this is the answer for getting out of what I'm working on and trying to do.
Yeah, and you didn't really have to lift a hammer either, right? Like they just, it's a couple $100 here, a couple $100 here. They weren't paying for the garage, a couple $100 there. It all adds up, and now it's a few $1,000s per month, per year. You put a 6, then divided by the 6 cap, and the value is whatever it is, like not double, but like a huge amount more than what was paid for.
People forget the add value isn't just rehabs. It's just going in and,
you operate.
and running
it's
the operate.
time is huge. And I I work out every day, and I try to run every day, and like I fascinate about the first refinance. It's a 5-year balloon loan, so August 2027 it'll get called, and like I do all these numbers in my head and this analysis, and I'm like, this is gonna be amazing. I'm gonna make so much money and pulling all this cash out, and I'm still gonna own 40% of the property.
Yeah. I mean, kudos to someone. You're at that time, you're 30 years old. First multi-building, has the retail. It's funky. You can't comp it out. Lender issues, right? Not a lot of lenders saying, 3 retail, that's sexy, right? So like just like getting that one, like a lot of people listening to this probably be like, that's not for me, right? And that's where the opportunity is.
Yeah, the lenders don't love the ratio of income from if the commercial is a certain percentage to the residential. So that's always hard and interesting to navigate. But I've kind of developed a little niche, like the next 2 properties I purchased also have retail.
Let's hear them. Keep going.
So my brother and I own a commercial HVAC company. We had been renting a place in Glenview. We were paying like $2,300 a month. I'm just like, what are we doing? This is not smart, not lucrative for us. So I had the intention of always buying a property for our company. And after, doing so many analyses on taxes, there was such a burden was relieved when you had residential spaces on it. But, a typical HVAC guy or some type of guy is not going to want to have and deal with tenants. So I knew I wanted to find, an office front with some residences tied to it, because that would alleviate my tax burden. So we find it's on Northwest Highway, right in downtown Edison Park. Again, like my portfolio, I have to be able to walk to it, which ended up being so important for my accident. But I found it's right now there's a nail salon in there, and there's a residence in the back, and I was gonna move our business to what is now the nail salon. But after showing it again, I posted this one on Facebook, just how I did at Avondale, and 0 hits. And it was, I remember I calling or texting you, Tom, I'm like, yo, I got to get this, no one's interested. So then eventually Anastasia, the owner of Banana Nails, came across, and I wanted to rent out. I'm so frugal and cheap. I just wanted to rent out a little office space in the back with her nail salon there for our business. So then we truly, maximize cash flow. And she thought it over for it. She's like, no, we can't do that. So then my whole, viewpoint on the property changed, and I ran my numbers, and I'm like, I could make this work to just be like another investment property. So we weren't able to move our business there, but that was another 2 units that was added to the portfolio, and that's 1 retail storefront, kind of a larger one. I think over 2,000 square feet probably, and then a residence in the back.
Yeah. All right. So, and at this point in time, this is when your accident happens. Disclosure for everyone listening. Like, we're gonna get real here for a second. Talk to us. Walk us through this time frame here and leading up to this.
That's interesting. That is right around the time, because I think I leased up that in July, and then I had my accident in August.
No, I know this just because I remember the day your brother called me, and I thought it was weird he was calling me because we're not close by any means, but you guys were on that deal together. So it wasn't like crazy that he was calling me. So I just remember picking up the phone like an asshole, like, Jeff, how we doing? Why are you calling me? And then laid this on me. I was like, oh shit. I always answer my phone the same way every time now.
That's interesting. Yeah, that was his first introduction into real estate, and then I just go down completely dark for a long time. So he's like, "Who the fuck is this person texting me?" He had my phone, all this stuff. So we own the commercial HVAC company. So on August 11th, 2023, about 14, 15, 16 months ago, we work a lot with extension ladders. So I was on a building in Homewood, Illinois, working on some stuff for a general contractor. And, I'm very lucky. I think about this pretty much daily, that 99% of the time that I work, I'm by myself, but there happened to be a general contractor there. So I had an extension ladder set up on about 25 feet up. And to this day, I don't really know what happened. It's pointless to think about what happened, but I was just about at the top, and I guess the ladder started to give out, and I was coming crashing down, and the ladder was going to hit the general contractor, and according to him, I pushed it out of the way. So I left my body to fall 25 feet onto the concrete. So I don't know how I survived. I've heard crazy stories in therapy since then, people dying on like 8-10-foot falls, and I fell 25 feet onto concrete. So I had what they call a traumatic brain injury, which is kind of the biggest hurdle I still now face. Like, I'm legally blind. I cracked 11 ribs, my hand, knees, all these different stuff. So I was rushed to Christ Hospital on the south side. I was in the ICU for about 2 weeks. And when you're in the ICU, I'm at this point, they had me in an induced coma. I have no memory of pretty much a week before, like probably 3 weeks following the accident. And they rank you on a scale of, 3 to 13. 3 meaning you're like brain dead, no hope. And 13, you're going to walk out of here just fine. And I got ranked a 5. So, they told I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Just they told my family, like, we don't see too many 5s walk out of here. Like, Mike's not going to be able to walk. He might not know who you are. He might not be the same person. He might have this excessive anger, all this stuff. So I was in the ICU for about 2 weeks, and then they transferred me to like the general portion of the hospital for 2-3 weeks. And then I went to Shirley Ryan, which is like a famous rehabilitation center in Chicago. People actually come from all across the world, but thank God it's in Chicago. So I was in there. I lived there for, about a month, getting PT, OT, vision, all of these different things you wouldn't even think of, I lived there for about a month, and then finally decided to get out of there. And then I went to, I guess you could say graduated. I graduated to, outpatient therapy, which is in Glenview. I was there every single day from 8 to 4 for about 4 months, I would say. Again, just getting all these rounds of therapy. And then got out of that. And now I get, I have vision therapy, some PT, some OT, all that stuff. But, it's just crazy, like in relating it to real estate, like it just makes me think even more clear. Like if anyone works a manual job out there, like, I always knew I wanted to not be on the roof, like doing stuff, because it is so dangerous. And now, I had this other means of income. I'm trying to get my brother off the roof now. And it's just like, real estate is so key to be able to do what you truly want to do. You just got to be patient and have time and put in the work. And like, I like to think, all the work I did leading up to that August 11th in terms of real estate, like that just prepared me for that moment, because I was okay financially. I'm on workman's comp now. I'm not cleared to ever be on a roof or ladder again. So that's a whole different story and thing I need to map out with my own life. But real estate is the answer. I see it so clearly.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can I ask you more questions?
Like, go for it.
You literally fell 3 stories off a building.
It's insane. Yeah.
Somebody was looking out for you that day, and it's just amazing. You said you had some loss of memory kind of before and some time after. Like, I mean, to sit around and doing therapy all day, like you're a guy like you, just I know your brain had to be like,
dude, I was playing, I would be in Glenview every day. You know, I try to inch my way back into our company, getting, you know, emails and calls. I'm trying to do this. And like, I'm sitting across the table from someone and we're playing, you know, Connect Four, Battleship, and they can't do anything. I'm like, yo, I'm going to kill myself just being here. And this funny thing, this one lady, I'm forgetting her name. I became friends with her, and we always have breaks in between, and I'm always on the phone talking to tenants. My brother trying to get some deals done, and this lady goes, "There's Mike working at work," and it was just so funny. It hit me so hard. I'm like, yeah.
So
right.
that hopefully is some of the darkest days you'll ever have to go through. Like, what? I mean, to be where you're at now and get through that, like. Where was your inspiration? Where were you reaching for to like during that period?
I think just the competitiveness of my own mind. You know, I was wheelchair bound for, you know, months after. They're like, you're never gonna walk. You're never gonna do. I train, physically train every day. Like, all these doctors say you can't do that, and that just motivates me even more. Like, you know, let me show you what I can do, you know. And I've had some struggles. It sucks, you know. I'll get up out of this chair and I might lose my balance. I still have those types of issues, and you know, that spirals me down a very negative path. But like, mindset to me is like so crucial and so key with everything. And I think, like, you know, in this example, like medical professions, like if you have an unfortunate diagnosis or situation, like, you know, get your mind right and figure it out yourself. You know, I'm blessed that I have that outlook on it. You know, I'm grateful for the situation now. It's easy. It sucks. I put my family through that, and they still have like a version of PTSD with that, and I have no recollection, so I didn't experience and see that. But like, you know, when I got out of the hospital, my brother would try to call me and I don't answer. I got like 15 missed calls. I'm like, yo, I'm working out. What's up? He's like, dude, I thought you, like, you know, still dealing with situations. So I'm disappointed that, you know, I obviously had to have somewhere made a mistake on that roof, on that ladder, and I put them in that situation. So that's kind of the challenging part. But I think just getting the mindset right and getting, you know, not accepting no for an answer.
So we glossed over this though before jumping into the accident. Like, your mindset before all this, like when I met you, don't drink, you're a vegan, you work out twice a day. Like,
yeah.
We kind of didn't mention any of this. Like, you're already, like, when I think of you, I always thought of like discipline or you know, borderline batshit crazy. Like, yes, like you're a nut, man. Like, you are. Yeah. And I mean that. I mean that isn't from a friendship here, but you know, that was always your mindset. Also, like, you had more investments than we even talked about. Like, I know you're in some of the Drexel ones. You had these other things going. Like, we kind of sold yourself short here on what you had accomplished before all of this. So I guess I want to go back and just, you know, you were always, and I got to believe that also led to, like, that's why you're 100%. Here today, right?
Yeah, like, I'm a, you know, I don't want to, how do you say, toot my own horn, but like, I truly believe that the reason I'm here is because I've done the right things, like nutritionally and physically. You know, when I'm in the hospital and in therapy, they're not dealing with like ground zero. They're dealing with someone that has, you know, a bit more discipline and musculature and just the outlook to like want to get better. So many people I'm with therapy all the time are just like trying to milk workman's comp. And I'm like, yo, what are you doing? I'm trying to I'll kill myself to get back. And like, these people are complaining about this handbrake. I'm like, yo, my brain doesn't fully work. Like, I would, you know, what are you doing, man? It's just crazy to me, like, experience and seeing all that. And, you know, the real estate, I think, has been so enlightening and key to me towards my recovery process.
And you went out, you bought another storefront.
Yeah. So like, I'm just so, I was, you know, I'm not, the neurologist did not clear me to ever be on a roof or ladder again. So I'm like 100% in the office now, which is cool because I've been able to grow our business. When I went down, we had like 3 trucks and now we have 7. So that's been awesome because that's kind of what I always wanted to do. And this just like expedited my plan to get there. But, you know, I remember being in December, I was like, I'm so competitive, probably to a fault. You know, I'm trying to find a deal because I know I'm not going to be on the roof again. I need to like find more income for my brother and I. I'm not like picking up, you know, my end of the bargain. So I came across a 5-unit, mixed-use 5-unit in Edison Park that we eventually just moved our business to beginning December 1st. So that's another mixed-use one where I have a salon, us, and then a contractor on the other side and 2 apartments above. Again, all in Edison Park on the northwest side, walking distance. I'm technically legally blind, so like I can't drive. So like that was so crucial for me to be able to walk and do showings and everything because the portfolio was so consolidated.
Yeah. And you're looking at, I mean, hopefully you get this one. You're looking at a bigger one now, right? We just, the Monopoly game keeps going.
I'm honestly looked at that building like 3 or 4 years ago. You know, it's a mixed use 13 unit. There's a Dunkin' Donuts, a franchisee, a real estate company, 10 apartments above. The apartments are beautiful. They're gutted. Like, you know, it's not one of those deals that you're going to get a, you know, 15, 20, 30% cash on cash return. Like this will be safe, steady, secure returns. But like I real estate is so important to me because like there's always the next deal, and I think you can always do more and grow and get bigger. So I love that platform's available to me. I just gotta, you know, put the head down and do the work.
And what's next? Right? Like this is, I don't want to gloss over everything that's just happened, but it's kind of crazy to me, you know, we're 16 months out of like being borderline dead. We've already bought a building. We're looking at another one.
Yeah.
I almost feel guilty asking you the question, but it's who you are. So like, what's next?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm all in. I'm having a lot of conversations with lenders to try to close this mixed use 13 unit deal. After I, you know, hopefully knock on wood, get that, like, I think my brother and I, because he would be in on this one too, he's in on 6711. I think that we could seriously start to map out our exit strategy in terms of when we're going to sell the business and our cash flow with all the properties. But I've been doing a lot of self-reflecting since I fell, and like, I don't know what I would do. You know, people throw around the buzzword like financial freedom. Like that means something different to every single person. To me, I'm still deciding what that means. But I realized, you know, when I was in the hospital, my dad, my mom, Maddie, my girlfriend, my brother, like, do you realize you're an idiot and you just work too much? Like you need to enjoy your life. And like, while I was cooped up in there, I'm like, yeah, they're probably right. I believe this. But since I've been out, I've realized that the only thing that keeps me from moving forward is chasing the next deal, is working as hard as I can, is knowing that I did everything I possibly could during that day. And there's a lot of, you know, I see a therapist now with workman's comp. Like there's a lot of internal stress as to why I feel that. I'm trying to navigate that, but I've learned to kind of be grateful for that because there's a lot of people that don't have that and just like accept living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm just like, that's, you know, that's not me. I'm not going to do that. I'm always going to chase something bigger and better, whether that's physically, real estate, the business. So yeah, I don't know if financial freedom exists to me.
Work-life balance, like that is, that's only some people's truth. Like that.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I love to work, like, and I give fights to my wife sometimes. It's for different reasons. Maybe I'm prioritizing poorly sometimes, but
right.
I like on the weekend, it's like I'll throw the football game on in the background, but I'd rather have my laptop there looking at properties or figuring out who else we on the show, whatever it might be. Like that's such a, it's just kind of bullshit. Like how that gets thrown around, the work-life balance when your life is a lot of times you want it to be something about getting forward or getting ahead or whatnot.
I think it's all about purpose, right? What is your purpose in life? And you know, your purpose is to be a father, you know, be a loving husband, and to grow the business. Like, this is what I was here to do, right? And it's different for everyone, right? Their purpose might be to be the world's best second grade teacher. Like, that might be their purpose in life, and it's not a game about money. It's whatever. But like, we all have this, and it's like, whatever that is, like, it's just, you got to go all in, right? Like, it's not about, I don't know. It's the balance. I get it both ways, but like, it's whatever your purpose is in life. And if it's those three things, like, that's what it is. Well, that's what all your time should be spent doing.
I look at someone like you or other guests who have, or like the highest and best use for your level of, for you to be happy is to be thinking about growth-minded opportunities, which a lot of times people call that work. And I think being growth-minded isn't always truly work. So I don't know.
You're going to wish no matter how much you do, you're going to be on your deathbed and wish you did more. You're going to wish you accomplished more. You're going to wish you spent more time doing the things you love. Like, that's.
So it's finding the things you love. That's what. So I've, for many years, so we're going to year 23 at GC. So for many years, I used to think about like, I can never sell. I'll never know what to do next. But now I'm to the point where like, if I ever sell or we're able to, I just don't work in the business. I'm looking forward to that 6 to 12 months of figuring out what I want to do next.
Yeah,
like I'm actually looking forward to that period. Before it was like, I have to know. Now it's like, I'm looking forward to the journey of figuring out that next. So I don't know.
There you go. You want to take a trip? We'll do like a 2-week trip, get away.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Euro trip. Let's do it.
Buy something
go through
Mexico.
the Badlands. Go through the Badlands. Find ourselves.
I have on my bucket list to live out west for like a season.
Yeah, buy something tropical. We'll do the episode 2 of Mike Bednarz over there when you buy something.
There we go.
I just know for me, I sit on a beach for 20 minutes. I'm like, this fucking sand's hot. The sun's hot.
Yeah.
Like, I can't see my phone because the angle of the phone. Like,
Who's emailing me?
Yeah. Like, I want to, like, I don't know. Like, I just can't.
Let me ask.
I have pictures of this. Hold on, I'm going back to the sand. Like, I have pictures of like sandcastles I built as a kid. And it's like half a city because I can't sit still. It's like, all right, we're gonna do this. Like, let's keep building.
Yep.
Let me ask you this though, Mark. Are you like present when you're with your family though, or are you like occupied with work and thinking about what email came through? Like, I've always personally struggled with that because I'm so forward growth thinking that I have an inability to kind of truly be present in my experiences.
100%. I am always the exact opposite place that I should be.
Yeah.
When it comes to personal, usually I always think of business. I'm thinking like, this is how I could be a better dad. Like I'm usually in the opposite space, and that's I don't know if maybe that's anxiety. I don't know what you call that, but you struggle to turn that off. Or the other thing I struggle with is not being productive. Back to the kind of like sitting on the couch, like, man, this 45 minutes, I could get ahead on this. I can go do this. Maybe I can look at this. Maybe I should go do this in the backyard. Not like the not being productive. I have some issue in my childhood.
I'm the same way, but you are the way you like the success you have is because of that. Like, I think I'm the same way. I get up at like 4:15 a.m. and I try to sit there and I'm like, I could be done. I just can't. Like, I physically can't. And thinking about, a lot of, what am I, like a Gen Z or something? Like, people like that, like, they don't really have that sort of mentality and they're living paycheck to paycheck. So, like, if you could develop and harness that sort of, ethic, don't take it to an extreme. I think, real estate or whatever your endeavors are, like, sky's the limit. Just put the head down and do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, like, if you want to just buy a building and you're not going to be all in on it, it's still a great thing to do, right?
Yeah.
It's just going to be like this little side thing and whatever. Like,
100%.
You're not going to go as far, but guess what? It still freaking works.
Yeah. I harass all these landlords in Edison Park around me, all these multi-units, and they're all like old European dudes that have no clue what a refinance is, like, are having way under market rents. And I'm just like, sell me this building. Like, this would be so easy. And like, but they did that, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And now they're reaping all the rewards. So, if you're young out there, just say, get started, get going.
Yeah, it's amazing. Every time you get to a closing table with an older mom and pop and you see the settlement statement, it's like, man, this guy's totally mismanaging the building. Like, oh my God, like this thing's if he doesn't sell now, like he's gonna be in trouble.
Yeah.
And it's always just like, and here's the net $1.4 million. This guy barely speaks English.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
Where else could that happen? Like, so, all right, cool. Ready to wrap?
Ready to wrap.
Let's do it.
All right. What's your competitive advantage? How have you been able to do this and go through all this while others couldn't?
I think I actually wore this sweater.
I saw the Wood Properties. I didn't know you had merch.
Yeah,
I'll buy some merch.
You're not gonna buy, man. I named all the LLCs I have WIT properties, and the WIT stands for whatever it takes. You know, I'm the type of person, you know, there's going to be hurdles. A tenant's going to say I have a leak, you know, a customer is going to complain. There are going to be hurdles, but you just got to have the mentality like these are going to come, and I'm going to put my head down and figure it out and do whatever it takes.
That was our core value. We just changed it to get shit done.
Hell yeah.
But that was our core value for 21 years.
Sweaters.
Yeah.
Dude, my last LLC was now serving spaghetti. Doesn't feel as deep as whatever it takes.
Yeah, and it means more to me now, you know, than when I formed any of them. But that holds true. Like, if you want something in life and you're willing to do whatever it takes, like, you should have no issue. You figure it out, you get it done.
Yep.
Just the fact that you put thought into naming your LLCs says something about you. Because a lot of people are like, yeah, 123 Main Street. Like,
yeah, we got the Montrose Crew. I like that kind of. It's kind of funny.
We own a building together on Montrose, and we called it Montrose Crew.
Oh, see, I like that.
Yeah.
We have fun with all of our LLCs.
Yeah. It's fun.
All right. What is one piece of advice you would tell someone that has yet to buy their first property here in Chicago?
I would say that if you truly realize that you want to buy the property, like, this is going to sound direct and harsh, but just work harder, you know, make more money, live under your means, and get going. You know, like, real estate is, I know it's been discussed before, but so forgiving. And, you know, there's such an advantage with time that, you know, everyone's always going to play the victim, have an excuse, but just figure out a way to make more money, spend less money, save it, get a down payment, and get going.
Love it. Lance, our teaser's in there somewhere.
What do you do for fun?
I'm a huge fitness and nutrition nut. I'm a whole food, plant-based vegan. So I love, you know, food's like insane. The food's like the best thing in my life, minus the people I love, of course. But like, food is huge. You know, I love trying new vegan spots downtown or making things with my girlfriend, Maddie. And fitness, you know, I probably insane on one end of the spectrum. Like, I only took 6 days off all of last year, and most of those days are 2-a-days, and that's because I had like a neurology appointment or was sick or traveling. Those are the only reasons I took physical days off from physical fitness. So I need to do that. Such a crucial part in my life.
All right. So what's a good book, podcast, or self-development activity you'd recommend to our listeners?
I got to go self-development. I feel like no one goes with that, but I'm going to say Eat the Frog. And what that means is that you got to do hard things every single day, you know, whether that's getting to the gym and walking for 20 minutes or like eating better, cold therapy, whatever, you know, nasty emails you don't want to work on. Like, you've got to eat the frog at the beginning of the day, because everything else after that is just so easy. So like, do hard things. You know, there was a time when I hated them, but now I love it, because you know, you get a dopamine high off it. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to fucking do this. So yeah, just commit to it and do hard things. And I think that will carry over into all aspects of your life.
It's a good book. It's short too. So anyone
There's
listening,
a book?
Yeah, Eat That Frog. That's what it's off of.
That changed my life. Eat That Frog?
Yeah, Eat That Frog. Yeah, that's where it comes from.
I'm gonna get it.
But it's all about that. Just doing if you wake up, do the most difficult thing, then life, the rest of the day gets easier.
Yeah.
That's why no one cold plunges at night.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of fucked up. I do sometimes, but yeah.
All right. Other than yourself, give us a valuable resource for Chicago investors.
I'm not truly massive into the real estate community, but Tom, you've been instrumental to me. I don't want to give you more emails or texts, but yeah, Tom, you are a great dude. I also never really hear this on here, but my brother Jeff is just a guru in terms of anything heating and cooling. If you have multifamilies, any issues, like, I'm sure, you know, me or him would help you out. So he's a huge resource for that.
Yeah, your brother's first off, appreciate the words. Your brother's awesome. We had the episode where the boiler exploded.
Oh, that's him?
I remember that.
He showed up. I mean, this is the coldest day of the year, probably the busiest day of the year. He can go charge whatever he wants, and he dropped everything he was doing to come and try to help us at that day. And it was like, Jesus, man, like you don't need to be here.
He called me that day. He was so hyped. He's like, I did amazing. I got it. But then it ended up, I forgot what ended up happening.
He did everything he could. He still couldn't get it up running. But it was like, man, like that was like.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I'm very blessed and lucky.
So, all right, Mike, thank you so much. You provide a ton of value to our listeners. How can they learn more about you? Is there any way they can provide value to you?
Yeah, I love meeting like-minded individuals. I don't have too many of them in my life that are chasing this real estate journey. So, if you're interested in that or a partnership on the Northwest side, always interested in hearing that.
Awesome. All right, Chicago Fact. Who we playing for? Who's sponsoring?
All right, today's sponsor, Lavelle Law, Chance Badisher, and we are playing Fatima Khan, who bought a shirt off the Straight Up Chicago Investor merch store. So Fatima, if myself or Mike gets this question right, you get a $50 gift card brought to you by Lavelle Law.
All right, we're going to go geography here. We're going to do Edison Park. We don't get to talk about it.
Don't put me on blast. We're going to get it wrong.
What's that? There you go. All right, so which east-west running street is the furthest northern street boundary in Edison Park? I'll give you the options. So the furthest north, east-west running street, and your options are Toohey, Jarvis, Howard, or Oakton.
I'll say Toohey.
Howard
it is. There we go.
There we go.
Nicely done. And it was a trick. Oakton's not even in. Oakton's too far north. We're up in the Niles then.
Yes, I thought it was pretty far north, so I didn't think that was it. All right, well, Fatima, you got a $50 gift card brought to you by Lavelle Law. So good job. Nice.
I'll take that 25 tomorrow, Fatima.
Yeah, no big deal. We'll give a plug here. We didn't talk about this. We probably should have brought it up. You also had like all your estate planning and shit done as like a 30-year-old. I remember, like I believe with Lavelle, but if not, it's just a friendly reminder to everyone after today's episode, like. You never know when things are going to happen.
Yeah.
Take care of that with whoever your attorney is.
Yeah, you never know. And one last thing I would just like to say to everyone is like, be grateful for what you got. You never truly never ever know, knock on wood, what can happen. And start now planning for the future, and real estate's definitely the avenue.
All right, awesome.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Tom. Listeners, we'll see you next week.